checking. We got Big Baby Jonathan in the building.
Baby, what's poppin'?
This is Big Baby Sports. We going live in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. Lakers all day, coming hard, gonna play. Got that Mamba mentality in my brain. Leg show, stand up.
Stand up.
Leg show,
Stand up. Breaking news, it's showtime. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Big Baby Jonathan here, man. I got a very special guest, Ben Golliver, Washington Post, NBA writer, and NBA newsletter. How's it going, Ben? Hope all's well.
Things are great. I'm just so happy to be here. I appreciate you always coming into our locker room chats that I do with Mike Trudell. I mean, you're an absolute diehard Laker fan, probably the biggest Laker fan I know right now, honestly. So I know it's kind of a tough time of the year for them, but I just got done writing this book about their 2020 title. So we got good news, we got bad news, whatever you want to talk about. I'm glad to chat.
Yeah, most definitely. So tell us a little bit about your book, Bubble Ball.
So I lived in Disney World for 93 days, 92 nights last summer. I was one of the few people who was there kind of the entire experience. And it was an incredible opportunity to just see the Lakers, win that title up close, but also to see the other main personalities who were down there kind of competing for that championship. And so when I was down there last summer, I was thinking somebody's got to write this as a book. This is just too crazy. When you have the pandemic, you got Disney World, this big comeback. You got all these like famous Hall of Fame players staying in these little hotel rooms that are typically used for like tourists. I was like, someone needs to write this as a book. So that really became my focus for pretty much the last 6 months, one way or another, whether writing or editing. And I think it's a really fun read. I think for Lakers fans, I'm not going to spoil the ending. Obviously, they win the title, but there's just a lot of details, from their championship celebration with LeBron spraying champagne on the reporters like myself, from the Anthony Davis Mamba shot, from even some of the concerns early in the bubble when Rondo got injured and how are they going to respond to that? I mean, you add it all up. It was a really incredible story. And not to mention the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, kind of hanging over the team the whole year. So I get into all that stuff and a heck of a lot more. And it's actually officially releasing tomorrow. So you've got me in a great mood, Big Baby. I've been waiting for this day. It's like my Christmas. I've been waiting for almost a year. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I gotta order that book, man. Because I was watching the YouTube, like you were explaining how the bubble with the wristbands and all that, man. Like overall in general, the bubble. Like, what was your take from it from start when you were there to finish? Like, what was the process you being in the bubble while the Lakers and the NBA was at the bubble?
No, it was a big exchange. I had to give up a lot of my privacy for the safety of the health and safety protocols, right? So, like you're saying, I had a wristband that basically tracked my movements. If I went in my room, it was electronic, so it would tell people where I was at all times. We had chains that we wore around our neck that basically acted like smoke detectors, so they would beep really loud if you got too close to other people. That was the kind of insurance that you ensure that you'd be socially distant. We had to wear masks at all times. We really couldn't congregate indoors. We couldn't eat or drink when we were in the arenas to keep the players safe. During the press conferences, we could be there, but we couldn't get too close. Every once in a while, they'd tape out a little circle below the players, around them when they were doing the interviews, and we couldn't go inside that circle. There was a lot of rules, and it was tough, man. When I was down there, I put on weight. I was having a hard time sleeping. My anxiety was up. I felt really isolated from my parents back home. And so I think the pandemic was already hard, but the kind of conditions down there made it even worse. And thankfully, I kind of lived to tell the story,
Yeah, and I did see some of the players on Instagram, like Dwight Howard was posting he was on the Instagram Live and he was at the pool and stuff. And the vibe that I saw from the Dwight's Instagram when he was on Lakers, there's just very controlled over there. You know what I mean? Very don't do this, don't do that. And I know I saw a report that they got a couple Laker players got fined. I believe Dwight Howard got in trouble because somebody snitched on him for not wearing a mask and all that stuff. It's and he felt like he didn't want to wear the mask. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I understand it. But now things are so open up in California, around the world now. But back then, they were really strict. Anywhere I went to Cal when I would go to the store with my girlfriend or go to the mall and I'd take my mask off, they'd be put it on. So I understand, the whole bubble thing. Now I understand it, man. It was a tough grind for the Lakers, tough grind for everybody. Everybody, some players wanted to leave the bubble, just like Clippers and Lakers were about to leave the bubble too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was the whole question with the shutdown was, our
Hmm.
guys going to want to stick this thing out and see it through to the conclusion. I think the good news was the longer people were there, the more they adjusted to it and the more they realized like, hey, the finish line is in sight, so let's stick with it. But there was so much security there, NBA security, Disney security, local cops, local sheriff's department. You mentioned the snitch hotline. That was a real thing. You could report people who were violated. I remember one time I forgot to wear a mask when I went down to do my laundry and I panicked. There was nobody even around, but I was like, oh no, I don't want someone to like snitch on me. So I went running up 4 flights of stairs to go find my mask so I could finish my laundry up. I mean, just things like that would get into your head. One
Hmm.
day I was walking around the campus at night just getting some exercise. A security man rolled up on me and said, "Let me see your credential," and thankfully I had it with me. And
Hmm.
we were required to wear that at all times. And, the credential would let you in certain areas and keep you out of other areas. But if I hadn't had that, I probably would have been in big trouble, man. They probably would have, scooped me up, take me somewhere, asked me what I was doing there because they didn't want anybody from the outside coming in. And they didn't
Hmm.
want anybody on the inside going out. So, I mean, this was like, we had video surveillance. I mean, it was the whole 9 yards.
So it kind of felt like a little bit like you were in jail, kind of, sort of, a little bit,
So
like
I
the
wouldn't go
environment
that
vibe.
far. I wouldn't go that far because a number of players made that comparison. And like for
Mm.
me, the good part was we knew when we were going to get to go home, right? Like it was only
Yeah.
3 months. And like if we absolutely couldn't take it, you could leave, right? So some people they'd have funerals in their family, they could leave if they wanted to, and they didn't
Hmm.
necessarily have to come back. So that's where the big difference from jail goes in. But I'll tell you what, man, I've never felt so confined in my life. And it really messes with you, And I think a lot of people have been going through challenging difficulties here during the pandemic of like adjusting to being living at home and not getting out and see people as much. And for me, I'm a little bit more of an introvert, so I don't mind not being in crowds and all that. But still, it's
Hmm.
different when you can't even drive a car, you can't even go to the grocery store, you can't go to the post office. I mean, there's nothing. We were just locked on that campus, for 3 straight months.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I know, like, the Daniel House situation where somebody got snuck in, and that's why he left the bubble. So it was just a crazy environment over there. But hey, my Lakers won a title, and it's not an asterisk title. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into that title. You know what I mean? So I'm happy that we won the title. But let's get into some Laker talk, man.
Well,
What do
hold
you
on, real
think?
quick, big
Yeah.
baby. On that point, I want to underscore that and exclamation point. No asterisk. 100% no asterisk. And here's why. Not only did they go 16-5 during the postseason, they smacked everybody. Ultimately. Hey, there you go. You got the ring. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did they smack everybody, as you know, and AD and LeBron, those are the two best players in the bubble, so that counts for a lot. But look at what all the other teams who were in the bubble did after the bubble in response to the bubble, right? Like if this was an asterisk where everybody was just punting it and didn't really care, you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
see the Sixers go out and get a new coach and a new GM, trade Horford. You wouldn't see the Bucks go trade for Drew Holiday. You wouldn't see the Rockets
True.
blow up their whole show. You wouldn't see the Clippers part with Doc Rivers, right?
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest validation of what happened in the bubble because everybody treated it like it counted, so therefore it should count for history. And it was tough too. I mean, LeBron put it up there with one of his best accomplishments. I would tend to agree. I mean, I still think the 2016 title was better because of the quality of competition. I mean, Golden State
Mm-hmm.
was just on a different planet that year, and that's why they won 73 wins. But right after that, I think it's one of his very best titles, and it's certainly one of the most memorable.
Yeah, it's one of the memorable title runs, and I look at that championship for the Lakers 2020. In my personal opinion, you got 2010 for the Lakers, and you got 2020. I feel like they're close. We beat Boston 2010, and then we went back to back 2009, 2010. It's up there with me. What we went through with Kobe passing away, the pandemic, what everything happened around the world, man. It's just we got it done. Because at one point I thought we weren't gonna have a season anymore. I mean, I came to the conclusion we're not gonna be playing for a title this year. We're gonna probably come back in January or something. But sure enough, we got it together, and the NBA did a great job with the whole bubble experience. I mean, like they did it, they put it in a great game plan, and it worked.
100%. That's part of the story too. I was right there with you, man. I was really distraught and sad and stressed out, thinking, "What am I even going to do with myself? All I do is talk about basketball and write about basketball. Like, what's my life even going to be like?" So when they got the bubble idea going, I was really excited, and I was really excited to document it and write it, and really try to just put my whole heart into it because I was so grateful to have basketball back. And I'm sure there's a ton of fans out there who can relate to that. And hopefully that the book reads that way. It's kind of like a love letter to the sport, to be honest. I mean, I think people know, I kind of center my life around this sport, and so for this past year, it's really just been all about thinking about the bubble, living it, writing about it, reflecting on it, and then ultimately putting this book together. So I'm really proud of it, to be honest, and I couldn't agree more. The NBA succeeded on the two most important things. They kept everybody safe, and they crowned a champion. And that was the most important thing to me, is like, you have all these players working this hard to get a chance to win a title. You better have somebody bring that trophy home.
No, most definitely. And it did. It was my Lakers. But now let's get into my Lakers, man. Lakers have been struggling a little bit, man. So are you worried about them? Do you think that they're going to be in that 7th spot? Or do you think they're going to get it together and like avoid the play-in tournament?
Well, when LeBron first went down, I thought them sliding into the play-in was a possibility. I'm actually more worried, though, not about that slide, but just how it looks here over the last couple of days. I really thought LeBron's return was going to boost everybody's mood, get them really excited, get everybody back on track. And I think he's still dealing with that ankle. Anthony Davis doesn't seem like he's moving that well to me, or at least he's not playing with that same kind of major energy and impact that we're used to seeing. And he hasn't been shooting the basketball very well either. So they got problems with their stars, and everything starts with the stars for the Lakers. We know that, and it's always been that way, right? So I am starting to get a little bit nervous on their behalf, just because, you know, I kind of was in the mindset of like, look, call me once we get to the playoffs, call me once LeBron's on the court, and now we're here and it just doesn't look right. You know, I think there's some questions about Drummond's fit. And I also think it's just tricky because these guys haven't played tons of minutes together with the new group. Before they're going to have a really tough first-round series. No matter who they have to play, they're going to play a good team. And they're going to play a team that has more continuity and chemistry right now than they do. And that's tricky.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And question, if the Lakers do somehow continue to struggle and they get into that play-in tournament and lose, I feel like there should be changes immediately, but I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like the Lakers are going to ride it out, weather the storm, and we'll get it together.
Well, let me ask you, what changes would you want to see if they lost in the play-in? I mean, obviously you're going to keep the stars, no question, but like which of those other guys? You have to go find a new center, probably. You know, you tried a bunch of different guys. You probably got to look for a new solution there. I mean, who else would you be looking at moving?
Sorry about that.
All good. I was just saying, who else would you look at moving if it was up to you?
If we do miss the playoffs, for one, I would probably have to keep it 100. I always keep it real on my show. Guy. Get rid of Kuz.
Yeah.
You know, get rid of Kuz. Maybe don't re-sign Dennis Schroeder. I just feel like the Lakers team last season was great, and I feel like the Lakers thought, okay, let's try a different way, and it's not working. I feel like if no one's missing, most important thing, the veteran leadership of Rondo. If we're struggling right now, you bring the team together, and we would thrive off of him. Same with JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, the assets that we have. But it's just unfortunate. You know what it is? It's just one of those seasons for the Lakers. You know, I'm gonna be supporting this team until the wheels fall, until somebody beats us. You know, I'm not gonna jump ship like Stephen A. Smith jumped ship earlier today on First Take. He said he's not picking the Lakers to come out of the West anymore. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what you were talking about with Rondo and Dwight and JaVale, it's a really important point. Those guys knew exactly what their roles were, and they were totally bought in, right? I think this year you've got some real questions, like, you know, Schroeder, he wants to get paid, so he wants a big role. You know, Drummond, he wants to get paid, he wants a big role. Montrezl Harrell, he wants to get paid, he wants a big role. Marc Gasol, he's used to having really important minutes, right? And now he's in a situation, how much does he get to play? These are tricky challenges. I think Frank Vogel is actually a really good coach, but he's just got a really, large number of different competing interests to kind of deal with and juggle right now. And usually what happens in these situations is, you know, LeBron steps it up and the problems kind of start to go by the wayside. And that's why it really comes down to his ankle. If he's not feeling right, he can't go every single night. That's going to make things a lot more difficult as well.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It's going to be difficult. But here's the thing. I look at it as when the 2009 Lakers had the season, way back in the day with Kobe Powell, Lamar Odom back then, Kobe played with the messed up ankle, messed up like fingers and stuff. He pushed through it, man. So I feel like I understand the ankle injury, but you gotta push through it, man. You know, during the playoffs, you're gonna have nicks and bruises. You just gotta put it in your big boy pants and get to work. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? So we got LeBron gotta get it together, you know. And if he does, like, did you hear him what he said about the play-in tournament? Like, I saw a video. I saw when he was on Cleveland, and Dave McMenamin asked him about it, and he was like, no. And then now he was excited about it. He's going back. I feel like he's just very frustrated right now. And here's the thing. I'm actually glad we're going through this right now, because I'd rather go through this now, and then if we play like this and play in the tournament, we're going home early. I keep it always way real. We need to figure it out now. I'd rather go through growing pains like we did in the beginning of the bubble. We want to, like, I think we went like 1-8 or somewhere around there in the bubble. before the actual bubble started, like the little practice games, and then we turned it up. So I feel like we're gonna do that again. In my personal opinion, I feel like we're gonna ramp it up once everything gets right. Before the Lakers get going, I feel like we're going through the storm. Just keep pushing, put one foot in front of the other. The storm will eventually end.
I would also say, like, this has been a really tough season, not only for the Lakers, but kind of for everybody. And there's been lots of ups and downs, right? If you look back at like Portland last week, they looked dead in the water. This week, they win 3 or 4 games in a row. They look way better. So I guess my point there is momentum can swing really quickly in this season, right? And so you don't want to jump off the boat like you're saying. You want to trust the stars are going to be able to step it up. And to me, it comes down to their health. Both those guys got some real rest time during the regular season. They got to get back up to 100%. If they can't get to 100% health-wise, this whole equation changes. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, man. Even I said when AD went down, when LeBron went down, I made a podcast about it. Lakers have to be 110% healthy or we're not winning the title. And you're right, Anthony Davis looks like I feel like that Achilles, somewhere around his like leg area is affecting him. Certain areas he's not getting to his spots quick like he did in the bubble. But if we somehow don't get to the playing tournament and lose, I just be like, okay, let's just regroup, get healthy, and bounce back next season, man. Because we're Lakers right now at this point, they're just swinging. They're fighting through it. They just got to keep pushing, man. Until somebody knocks you out, just keep going.
For sure. And here's another way to step back, big picture this thing. It's a tough time right now. They re-signed LeBron and AD to contract extensions before the season. So imagine if they hadn't done that, and now you're worried, well, what's the future going to look like? We don't have these guys taken care of. You've got the stars taken care of. You know how well they play when healthy. They were 21-5 to start the season. They were rolling, right? So even if they go out early, whether it's play-in, first round, second round, whatever, they don't reach the expectations. You've got multiple years left if Anthony Davis is probably LeBron's still playing at a high level when he's healthy. So I think that it's sort of the same thing for Milwaukee, actually. Like, they don't have that pressure on this playoffs as much because they already re-signed Giannis. And kind of a similar deal for the Lakers. Obviously, it's going to be championship or bust if you have LeBron every single year, right? That's how everybody's going to view it. But the fact that you don't have to worry about this summer, I think is actually helpful. It's going to be tricky. Do you re-sign Dennis? Who you pay? Who do you trade? There's going to be decisions, but your 2 biggest decisions are already made. You already got your 2 stars locked up, right?
Yeah, most definitely. We got our stars locked up. And another thing, too, I trust the front office 100%. Trust Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, Kurt Rambis, Linda Rambis, Tim Harris. So I'm not worried if they feel like they need to move some pieces in the offseason, maybe move a coach, maybe do something else. I'm okay with it. It's their decision. We just got to roll with it, man.
No, they've earned the trust. Some of those people were down in the bubble. I talk about Jeannie and Rob Pelinka and Rich Paul all being there for the title celebration. That was a really crowning achievement. I think people forget how quickly the Lakers turned this thing around. It wasn't that long ago. Magic surprising everybody by resigning. Luke Walton's kind of out the door. Yeah. They got to trade for Anthony Davis. They're sending all those assets out. This was a quick turnaround in the first place, and it worked together. Everything came together brilliantly last season. It was no guarantee it was going to play out like that. So I think your trust is well-founded.
Yes, really. And thank you, Magic Johnson, for waiting outside for LeBron. If he didn't do that, we probably would still have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and all those guys. And they're doing great things for their other teams. And I'm not even surprised because I knew that was going to happen too. I saw a potential in Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball. I saw all that transitioning from the Lakers to other teams. I saw it, but I just felt like they didn't get enough minutes right there. And I just feel like it was a great opportunity for them to go somewhere else. I would trade them again for Anthony Davis 10 times out of 10 every time.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it worked out great for both sides. I think the Lakers at this point have won the trade, right? If you get a title out of it, that's the whole goal. And you've also set yourself up with Anthony Davis for the next 5 years or whatever it's going to be, right? So, even whenever LeBron slows down, you have a franchise player. Those are the hardest things to get. And people are going to want to play with AD. He's unbelievable. I think when healthy, he's the best defensive player in the league all around. That's going to be a magnet for talent when you're trying to come up with the next version of the Lakers once LeBron decides to kind of slow down or, head towards retirement.
Yeah, most definitely. And we do. I don't know if it's breaking news, but I got a tweet from Mike Trudell saying LeBron is day-to-day with a right ankle injury. Laker head coach Frank Vogel. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, he's not playing tonight. I think that it sounds like he's almost maybe did he come back too early? A little bit of that thought because it was sore last night. You got to be careful. It's a tough game anyways against Denver. They're absolutely rolling. So I think caution's in order. And, you got to get him right. I mean, it's really hard to play as physically and as attack-minded as LeBron does on a bum wheel. I mean, you could do it once in a while. If you need to do it for a quarter like Isaiah Thomas back in the day in the finals, right? That's one thing. But if you're trying to play a whole series like that, forget about it.
And Frank Vogel said LeBron did not suffer a setback. Because I know a lot of people, Wojnarowski tweeted that he suffered a setback, but Frank Vogel said he didn't suffer a setback. So that's good. Maybe he just needs to rest until Thursday because we got the Clippers on Thursday, another tough game. So I feel like LeBron, get your rest. And here's the other thing, too, that I noticed this season. Lakers had no NBA team has practiced this year due to the new rule now. It's like they didn't practice. In fact, if the Lakers had practice with each other this season, I feel like would have been having a good chemistry. Right now, sometimes we give up defensive assignments, and a lot of Laker players are like pointing, and like right here, I see Anthony Davis sometimes tell THT to get to the right spot. So it's like I feel like if we had those practices, our chemistry would be 110% better right now.
I agree completely, especially on offense when it comes to Drummond. I mean, he just needs more time with LeBron so LeBron can figure out how the spacing works, and he needs more time with Anthony Davis to know when to kind of crash the glass, when to get out of the way, and that kind of stuff. And the Drummond fit to me is interesting because I don't think it's working that well. And I liked Kuzma. I mean, Kuzma kind of came out, was pretty honest, saying, we need to go back to Marc Gasol. And, it's tricky because a lot of people were bagging on Marc Gasol earlier this year, too. It's one of those things where you've got a bunch of options, but maybe no great option at center. And they're going to have to sort through that, There's kind of no way around it.
Yeah, we just got to maybe try Marc Gasol tonight versus Nikola Jokic, throw some different lineups, maybe try something else. If something's not working, fix it. Maybe put Devontae Kekak out there or Giannis's brother, Kufis. Maybe just try something different right now. You never know what can happen. But at this point, I'm worried, but I'm not worried yet until we get eliminated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, there's a lot of panic going on right now, and there's going to be ups and downs in this season. There was last year, too. I mean, there were some really tough moments in last season before they won the title. But look, they're going to have a tough path. No matter who they play in the first round, it's going to be tricky. It could be Utah, Phoenix, Denver, or the Clippers. All those teams are really good. All those teams have had great offenses this season. Now, the Lakers can usually rely on their defense, especially if AD is healthy. So that's probably going to be their ticket. But they got to get, scoring from more places, too. It's not all about the stars. It's about ball movement, hitting open shots, getting KCP, getting that big stuff going, and having Kuzma continue to play well. I mean, I think overall this season he's been a real bright spot. I think he's going to be even more important this playoffs than he was last playoffs.
Yeah, almost definitely. Kuzma's game, defensive-wise and his offensive-wise, has improved. Defense is really good. He has taken the next step. Since LeBron's not playing, Kuzma should be like, okay, so LeBron, you're not playing. Let me step it up for a couple games. I like Kuzma's demeanor this season. Defense really improved. I liked his energy last night, 24 points. He was shooting the ball really well, and it's just we're struggling right now, but I'm excited to play the game tonight versus Denver. But, Ben, thank you so much for coming on Big Baby Sports Podcast. Go ahead and tell the viewers where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Ben.Golliver and on Twitter at Ben Golliver. And the book is called Bubble Ball. Look, it's everywhere, man. Amazon, your local bookstore, Barnes & Noble, Powell's, wherever you get books. So if you're Lakers fans out there trying to live and die with every win and loss, this is the book. It really gives you an up-close look at that postseason push.
All right, most definitely, man. I'm actually going to go to Barnes & Noble tomorrow and get the book.
Well, if you grab it, send me a photo. I want to see you with it, all right? So be sure to send it over.
Sounds
Puts a
good,
big
man.
smile on my face, man. I spent a year on this thing, so it would mean a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, man, for coming on. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Take care. Talk to you later.